Hello and welcome back to part 2 of my journey from Incheon to Phu Quoc with a transit through Tan Son Nhat Airport in Ho Chi Minh City, aka Saigon. First things first, as an American passport holder, you normally need a visa to enter Vietnam. However, Phu Quoc is a special economic zone. That means US passport holders don't need a visa as long as they're arriving and departing from Phu Quoc, staying for no more than 30 days. The exemption also applies to transiting through one of the main international gateways, according to both Vietnam Airlines and the Vietnamese government. If you've been following along, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Let's jump right in. If you search online, you'll find a lot of conflicting information, and I mean a lot. This time, I decided to trust the airline. I even called Vietnam Airlines ahead of time to confirm the transit process. They assured me it was possible, but exactly how it worked was still far from clear. Once I landed in Saigon, things became interesting. I started by asking several airport staff members dressed in the traditional Vietnamese áo dai. Every single person gave me a different answer. One told me to go to immigration line 4, another said to use the business class lane, someone else said I needed to get a stamp, and of course, another person gave me the answer I was hoping not to hear: you need a visa. When I finally reached the immigration officer, he asked for my visa. Well, I didn't have one. He immediately told me I couldn't enter. I explained that I was only transiting to Phu Quoc, showed him my boarding pass, and that's when everything changed. He told me to head over to the Vietnam Airlines transit counter to get a transit stamp. Great, progress at least. When I arrived at the transit counter, the first thing they asked for was my visa. I was thinking, I don't have one. That's literally why I'm here. At that point, I was even more confused. Thankfully, another staff member stepped in. I showed them my boarding pass to Phu Quoc and my return ticket, and that was enough for them to begin the paperwork. A staff member then personally escorted me back to the immigration windows where I received the required transit stamp. After that, I rejoined the immigration line, and this time I was finally allowed through. But the confusion wasn't over yet. The transit process between terminals turned out to be completely different from what I'd read online. Most websites say to take a shuttle bus between the terminals. That wasn't my experience at all. Instead, I had to walk through the public arrivals area, hand my checked luggage back to Vietnam Airlines at a dedicated transit lane, walk about 10 minutes to Terminal 1, clear security through a surprisingly small checkpoint, and then board an airside shuttle bus to Terminal 3. So if you're researching this trip online and wondering why none of the instructions seem to match each other, trust me, I know exactly how you feel. Tan Son Nhat Airport's Terminal 3 officially opened in 2025 and is now home to 2 Lotus Lounges. The standard Lotus Lounge is available to business class passengers and SkyTeam Elite members, while the Lotus Premier Lounge is reserved for Vietnam Airlines top-tier million-miler members. The lounge itself is modern, clean, and comfortable, although I did notice that the air conditioner wasn't particularly strong. The right side is noticeably quieter and features a smaller buffet area, while the left side houses the main dining area and the live cooking station. Personally, I found the left side of the lounge to be considerably warmer. The food selection included a variety of cold dishes such as salads, cheese, cold cuts, and desserts. The hot offerings lean heavily toward Vietnamese cuisine with options including savory sticky rice, braised meats, steamed rice, and a modest selection of vegetarian dishes. As for beverages, the selection was fairly limited. Alcohol options were minimal, with beer being the only alcoholic beverage available during my visit. There are 2 Priority Pass lounges in Terminal 3, both operated by SASCO. I'll begin with the SH Premium Lounge before making my way over to the SENS Business Lounge. While the food selection is broadly similar to that of the Lotus Lounge, I find that the SH Premium Lounge offered a slightly larger variety of hot dishes, all presented in a cleaner and more organized buffet layout. The final stop on our lounge tour is the SENS Business Lounge, which feels noticeably more corporate and executive in its design. It's also the furthest lounge from the main escalator, so be prepared for a bit of a walk. The payoff, however, is a much larger space, nearly the size of the Lotus Lounge and almost double that of the SH Premium Lounge. The buffet setup closely mirrors the Lotus Lounge with almost identical food offerings, save for a few minor differences. Even the live kitchen serves the exact same bowl of pho that you'll find over in the Lotus Lounge, which certainly isn't a bad thing. Beverage options were plentiful and included coffee, beer, wellness drinks, and wine. Interestingly, of the 3 lounges I visited today, only the SH Premium Lounge and the SENS Business Lounge served wine. Each lounge had its own strengths. I preferred the service at the Lotus Lounge, the hot food offerings at the SH Premium Lounge, and the atmosphere at the SENS Business Lounge. Put them all together and you'd have one incredible lounge experience. Our journey truly begins now at Gate 15, where Sky Priority and Zone 1 passengers were invited to board first. For this flight, we'll be flying aboard an Airbus A321 configured with 16 business class recliner seats in a 2-2 layout. A similar olive tone color palette can also be found throughout the business class cabin, giving it a familiar Vietnam Airlines feel. The recliner seats themselves are comfortable and well padded. A small cocktail table can be found on the left-hand armrest, while the seat controls are conveniently located on the right side. Today's flight is simply too short to accommodate a full dining experience. Instead, the cabin crew focused on beverage service, offering multiple rounds of drinks throughout the journey. Drinks were offered at least 4 times during this short flight, beginning with a welcome beverage shortly after boarding. I'm not quite sure why I was given another bottle of water. Maybe I just look hot or something. Today's short hop from Tan Son Nhat Terminal 3 to Phu Quoc International Airport is expected to take approximately 35 to 40 minutes. Since this aircraft is not equipped with seatback entertainment screens, all in-flight entertainment is streamed wirelessly to your personal device via onboard Wi-Fi. Here's another beverage service. I ordered the same detox water. Before long, we find ourselves arriving airside at Phu Quoc International Airport. This flight is admittedly a bit difficult to rate given that it is a short domestic Vietnam Airlines service. Despite the brief flight time, the overall experience was very pleasant. Lounge access provided ample food and beverage options before departures, and the flight attendants were warm, attentive, and professional throughout the journey. Looking back, my immigration and transit confusion was probably more of an exception than the norm, and perhaps not as quite as dramatic as I may have made it seem in this video. Overall, I'll give this domestic Vietnam Airlines business class experience a solid 8 out of 10 stars. Returning to the formal side of the travel experience, business class passengers were among the first to disembark and were escorted to the terminal via dedicated bus service. In my next video, I'll be taking you to two of Phu Quoc's most well-known luxury resorts, the JW Marriott Phu Quoc Emerald Bay and the Regent Phu Quoc. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Tan Son Nhat Airport and onward to Phu Quoc International Airport. Until our next destination, the JW Marriott Phu Quoc Emerald Bay, this is Rye Voyages signing off. As always, double check your travel documents and please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Have a wonderful day and I'll see you in the next one.